The first change that is coming to the reworked Loki in SMITE is going to be towards his basic attacks. The initial hit of his basic attacks used to deal 80% damage, and they are now going to deal 100% damage. His passive behind you will remain the same, however it has additional effects. You still deal bonus damage while behind the enemy, however your passive now interacts with your abilities to proc it at different times as well. Loki's first ability will still be Vanish, however there will be some alterations to it. Rather than going into stealth instantly, Loki will now fade into stealth quickly. If Loki takes damage while stealth, he will now be revealed for 0.33 seconds. It's a very short time, but it's enough for the enemy to see where Loki might be headed. His decoy has been removed and is being replaced with agonizing visions. Rather than attracting minions to the decoy, this is going to be a new dot ability for Loki to have. Loki summons a vision of his tortured past for 4 seconds, and enemies that are in the range of this vision will poison themselves. While poisoned, they take damage as well as have their damage reduced. This effect stacks up to 4 times, and if the enemy gets 4 stacks on them, they become blinded, allowing Loki to benefit from the behind you passive from any direction for 3 seconds. Enemies that stand in the poison have their damage dealt reduced by 5% for 2.5 seconds. And much like Decoy, this ability will still block enemies as well. Essentially, this is now a dot ability that can stack damage up to enemies 4 different times. And if that enemy gets all 4 stacks applied to them, they become blinded, which puts a poison over their screen that they can still see kind of and navigate, but it makes it much harder to see during team fights. His third ability, Aimed Strike, is being removed and being replaced with Flurry Strike. Loki unleashes a flurry of 5 dagger strikes quickly in front of him, damaging enemies. After the flurry is over, he winds up for 1 more heavy strike that deals extra damage as well as slows the enemies that it hits. On top of that, this ability can also benefit from his passive behind you. This allows for much more kit synergy within Loki, allowing you to place down your agonizing visions, get the 4 procs of blinding on them, and then activate your 3 right in front of them to just burst them down. And finally, his ultimate is still called Assassinate, but it is getting a total rework. This will now be a 2-part ultimate, making it so even if you miss your ult or you're using it to escape, it's not just totally wasted and you can still get some functionality from it. Upon activating the ult, Loki will teleport to the ground location much like before, and if an enemy god is within the radius of that ground, Loki will slice into the target, doing damage and crippling them for 1 second. After the teleport, whether he hits an enemy or not, he will then wind up for a second heavier strike, damaging all enemies in front of him in a cone and stunning them. Much like the cripple, the stun will also last for 1 second.
Behind you! You have slain an enemy. I got your back. Let's get wild. Behind you.
What a spoil sport! I was just kidding!